I had meticulously planned an extravagant $62,000 anniversary celebration for my parents. Yet, upon my arrival, I was met with a chilling dismissal. "You're not invited, leave." Then, amidst their cold laughter, security was summoned with a curt command: "Get this beggar out." I walked away with a quiet composure. But that very night, a silent fury fueled my actions. I systematically revoked every payment, canceled every trip, and dissolved every party reservation. $62,000, simply gone minutes. Later, my phone became a vibrating testament to their panic. 36 missed calls, and then, a physical presence appeared at my door. Do you know that visceral, gut-wrenching feeling? The one where you've poured your entire being, your heart, your soul, every last penny, into your family, only to be publicly cast aside like garbage? For over a decade, I had functioned as their personal ATM, an endless financial pipeline. But absolutely nothing, no past light, could have prepared me for the moment my own father stared into my eyes, pointed a condemning finger, and snarled, "Remove this beggar from here." This humiliation, coming immediately after I had underwritten their entire anniversary gala, triggered something profound within me. A vital chord snapped. What transpired next irrevocably altered the trajectory of my life. My childhood felt perpetually shrouded in shadow. I was Mackenzie, the oft-overlooked middle child, sandwiched between my older sister, Heather, the radiant golden child with her flawless blonde hair and cheerleader's smile, and my younger brother, Eric, the indulged baby of the family who, in their eyes, could never truly err. My parents, Richard and Elizabeth Morgan, made no effort to conceal their blatant favoritism. Heather's every triumph was met with lavish celebrations and extravagant gifts. Eric, despite his relentless procession of missteps, was perpetually coddled me when I brought home a pristine report card. My mother would merely offer a dismissive shrug. "That's simply expected of you, Mackenzie." When I clinched the state math competition title in high school, my father barely acknowledged it, asking only if I could tutor Eric since you're so adept at it from a tender age. I assimilated a harsh lesson. I had to exert twice the effort for half the recognition. This pattern of disproportionate effort and negligible reward only intensified as we matured. My parents generously bankrolled Heather's private university education, where she barely managed to pass. I, conversely, juggled to demanding jobs and earned a partial scholarship to State University, ultimately graduating with top honors in finance. Do you know who attended my graduation? No one. My parents claimed a sudden family emergency that day. Eric required assistance moving into his new apartment, post-college. I began at the absolute lowest rung of a financial advisory firm, relentlessly clocking 70-hour weeks. Within 5 years, I had cultivated a client base robust enough to establish my own practice. Specializing in burgeoning tech industry investments in dynamic Seattle proved incredibly lucrative. By 30, I was earning more money than I had ever dared to envision, and that's when the calls began. They arrived with increasing frequency and unsettling predictability. "Mackenzie, your father and I are truly struggling with the mortgage now that he's cut back his hours. Could you possibly help just this month?" My mother's voice consistently carried that distinctive inflection, a sickly sweet blend of unearned entitlement and fabricated desperation. Just this month stretched into half a year, then a full year. Soon, I was shouldering their entire mortgage payment. Then came Eric's endless parade of doomed entrepreneurial ventures. First, a food truck he abandoned after just 3 months. Next, an app that never progressed beyond the conceptual stage. Then, a coffee shop where his interest evaporated. The moment the novelty faded, each time, I was tacitly expected to furnish the initial seed money. Heather's wedding proved to be a veritable financial black hole. As maid of honor, I was tasked with funding a bachelorette party in Vegas for 8 women. When I cautiously broached the subject of my budget constraints, my mother pulled me aside, her eyes narrowing imperceptibly. "Your sister only marries once. Do you truly wish to mar her special day by being so miserly with your money?" The implication was chillingly clear. My assets were their assets, my sentiments entirely inconsequential. I found myself systematically excluded from family gatherings, unless my checkbook was explicitly required. Last Christmas, I discovered their Aspen ski trip through their meticulously curated social media photos. When I called my mother, my hurt palpable. She feigned surprise. "Oh, we assumed you wouldn't be interested. You're always working, dear." Yet, barely 3 weeks later, Eric called, frantic, his car on the verge of repossession. I instantly wired $12,000 to rescue him. Always working, always paying. Then arrived the planning for their milestone 40th anniversary party. My mother's call was unusually warm, even effusive. "Mackenzie, darling, your father and I are celebrating our 40th this year. We're hoping for a truly special celebration at La Maison, La Maison, Seattle's most exclusive restaurant, renowned for its private events and esteemed celebrity clientele. I later researched it. The venue rental alone amounted to thousands. That sounds absolutely wonderful, Mom, I genuinely replied, still naive enough to believe I might finally be a welcome participant. We'll definitely need your assistance with the deposit, she continued, her voice seamlessly slipping into that familiar, expectant cadence. It's $18. Zero for the private dining room and the initial catering commitment. I swallowed hard. That was a substantial sum, even for my considerable income. But I yearned so desperately to be an integral part of this family milestone. Of course, I can help with that. Perfect. I'll have the event planner contact you for the credit card details. We're envisioning around 60 guests. 60 guests? That's quite a gathering. Who all is attending? I asked, already mentally tabulating that the final bill would likely surge past $50,000. Just family and close friends, my mother vaguely answered. We'll forward the specifics later. The specifics, of course, never materialized. Each time I inquired about the event, my questions were deftly sidestepped. Don't fret over it, Mackenzie, just concentrate on your work. We understand how incredibly busy you are. 2 weeks prior to the event, a knot of deep unease tightened in my stomach. I called Heather to inquire about the dress code. Oh, she sounded genuinely surprised. Are you coming? I assumed you'd be too busy. My heart plummeted. Of course, I'm coming. I paid the deposit, I retorted, confusion lacing my voice. Right? Well, it's formal black tie, she quickly deflected, changing the subject. I spent the ensuing week searching for the quintessential dress, a classic black Valentino that exceeded most people's monthly rent. I also purchased a matched set of Patek Philippe watches for my parents, knowing my father had always coveted the brand. The gift alone cost $5,000, but I simply longed to witness their joyful expressions when they unwrapped it. The event was slated for Saturday, April 24th. As the day approached, a familiar anxiety settled over me. Despite all contradictory evidence, I still harbored a foolish, persistent hope. This time, it would be different. This time, I would be embraced as a beloved daughter, not merely a financial resource. How utterly, completely misguided I was. April 24th dawned with quintessential Seattle charm. A rare, radiant spring day, the sky an expansive pristine blue. I invested extra time in my preparations, having my hair and makeup professionally styled. The artist coaxed my chestnut hair into elegant waves, softly framing my face. My makeup was subtle yet polished, accentuating my green eyes, the singular feature my mother had ever complimented. The black Valentino dress fit flawlessly. I accessorized with simple diamond studs, and the sapphire pendant bequeathed to me by my grandmother, the only family member who had ever extended unconditional love. The gift box, containing the watches, rested on my passenger seat meticulously, wrapped in silver paper with a blue bow, a tangible beacon of the hope I still desperately clung to. La Maison occupied the penthouse level of a historic building, affording breathtaking vistas of Elliott Bay. I valet parked my car and stepped into the opulent marble lobby. A mixture of excitement and gnawing nervousness churned within me. Private event for the Morgans, I informed the elevator attendant. Top floor, ma'am. As I reached the restaurant's grand entrance, a hostess, immaculate in a sleek black uniform, greeted me. The expansive area behind her had been exquisitely transformed with lavish floral arrangements and ambient, soft lighting. I could discern the soft murmur of refined conversation and the gentle strains of classical music. It truly looked like a dreamscape. Good evening. I'm here for the Morgan anniversary celebration, I announced. Offering a hopeful smile, she consulted her tablet, scrolling through what I presumed was a guest list, her brow furrowed with concern. Your name? Please, Mackenzie Morgan. I'm Richard and Elizabeth's daughter. She scrolled again, visibly growing more uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I don't see your name on our list. My smile evaporated, my stomach plummeted. There must be a mistake, I'm their daughter. I actually paid the deposit for this event. The hostess offered an apologetic glance. Let me just check with the event coordinator. As she moved away, I caught fleeting glimpses of the celebration through the partially open doors. The room was sumptuously adorned with white roses and silver accents. I recognized my Uncle Thomas, his laughter light, a glass of champagne in hand. My cousin Rebecca was capturing photographs near a magnificent anniversary cake. Everyone was impeccably dressed, precisely as I had been instructed. My party. The hostess soon returned with a woman in a perfectly tailored suit, who introduced herself as the event coordinator. Miss Morgan, I understand there's some confusion. Your name isn't on our approved guest list. That's impossible, I insisted, my cheeks beginning to flush with mortification. I'm their daughter. I paid the $18,000 deposit for this event. She nodded, her discomfort evident. Yes, we have a record of your payment. However, the The final guest list was personally approved by Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, and your name is not included. Perhaps there was a miscommunication. Other guests were starting to cast curious glances our way. I clutched my carefully wrapped gift tighter, striving to maintain my disintegrating composure. May I speak with my parents, please, Elsie? If they're available, she replied, disappearing back through the doors. I stood alone in the opulent lobby, acutely aware of the restaurant staff's scrutinizing gazes. Minutes stretched into an eternity. More family members arrived, Heather and her husband, accompanied by their two children. All impeccably attired, she spotted me waiting, but quickly averted her eyes, rushing past without a hint of recognition. Eric arrived next with his latest girlfriend, he at least had the grace to appear momentarily embarrassed when he noticed me, muttering something to his date before they were swiftly ushered inside. After 15 excruciating minutes, the doors reopened, not the event coordinator, but my parents emerged. My mother was resplendent in a silver gown, her blonde hair impeccably styled. My father, distinguished in his tuxedo, a crystal champagne flute held casually in his hand. They presented a picture of blissful happiness, a couple entirely unburdened by any worldly concern. Mackenzie, my mother began, her voice low and laced with irritation. What exactly are you doing here? I gazed at them, disbelief swirling within me. What do you mean? It's your anniversary celebration. I paid for it. My father surveyed the lobby, clearly anxious about creating a scene. We appreciate the financial contribution, but this is a family-only event. The word struck me with the force of a physical blow. Family. I'm your daughter. You know precisely what we mean. My mother sighed impatiently. This event is for people genuinely involved in our lives. We truly didn't think you'd actually come. Your always working. I extended the gift box, my hand trembling almost imperceptibly. I bought you something special. My mother didn't even glance at it. You can mail it later. This is simply not a good time. Behind them, I could see inquisitive faces observing the exchange. My Aunt Catherine looked genuinely concerned. Heather was whispering intently to her husband. Eric meticulously avoided eye contact. I don't understand, I managed, my voice fracturing slightly. I funded this entire party. How can I possibly not be welcome at it? My father's expression hardened. He placed his champagne glass on a nearby table and gestured to someone behind him. A security guard, formidable in a dark suit, approached. Please remove this woman, my father articulated coldly. She is disrupting our private event. The security guard appeared uncomfortable, but stepped forward. Ma'am, I'll have to ask you to leave. I simply couldn't comprehend what was unfolding. Dad, you can't be serious. His next words would forever sear themselves into my memory. Get this beggar out of here. Beggar. The word reverberated in my skull as a security guard gently, yet unequivocally, took my elbow. I'm sorry, ma'am, he murmured, clearly mortified by the situation. I need to escort you out. I was too utterly stunned to resist. As I was led toward the elevator, I could feel dozens of eyes boring into my back. The beautifully wrapped gift box remained clutched in my hand. The last image I registered before the doors silently closed was my mother rejoining the party, already laughing at a comment someone had made, as if her own middle child had not just been publicly humiliated and forcibly ejected. The elevator descent was unnervingly silent. The security guard steadfastly avoided eye contact. When we reached the lobby, he released my arm. Your car, ma'am? He inquired quietly. I can find it myself, I managed, my voice barely a whisper. I navigated the lobby on profoundly wobbly legs, acutely aware of the curious glances from staff and other restaurant patrons. My face burned with unutterable humiliation. The valet brought my car without comment, though I swore I detected a flicker of pity in his eyes as he handed me the keys. I placed the gift box carefully on the passenger seat, started the engine, and drove away from La Maison, away from the family that had just unequivocally stated that my sole value to them was purely financial. The drive home passed in a disorienting blur. My vision tunneled as I piloted my car through downtown Seattle on sheer autopilot. At one point, I nearly sideswiped a vehicle while changing lanes. The angry honk barely penetrating my profound shock. Beggar. The word incessantly replayed. In my mind, my father's disgusted face, a terrible, accompanying slideshow. I somehow reached my apartment building in Queen Anne, a modern high-rise boasting panoramic views of the Space Needle. I had purchased a condo 2 years prior, a significant personal milestone I had celebrated alone, with a bottle of champagne. My family had never once visited, despite numerous invitations, in the cavernous parking garage. I switched off the engine and simply sat in the suffocating silence. The meticulously wrapped gift box mocked me from the passenger seat. The expensive dress suddenly felt restrictively tight. The professional makeup, a hollow mask. For several agonizing minutes, I simply focused on breathing, attempting to process the incomprehensible events. When the first sob finally broke free, its sheer intensity startled me, then another and another, until I was gasping for air between violent, racking cries. My painstakingly applied makeup streamed down my face as years of accumulating rejection crystallized into this one devastating moment. I don't know how long I remained there, but eventually my phone chimed. The screen displayed my best friend Jordan's name. With trembling hands, I answered, "Hey, Mac. How's the swanky party? Are they finally treating you like the princess you are for once?" Her buoyant voice was jarringly incongruous with my shattered emotional state. "They kicked me out," I whispered, my voice raw and raspy from crying. "What? I can't hear you, the connection's bad." "They had security remove me," I repeated louder. A fresh sob punctuating the harrowing sentence. "Wait, asterisk what asterisk?" Jordan's shock reverberated clearly through the phone. "Where are you right now?" "In my car, parking garage." "Stay there, I'm coming over. 20 minutes, tops." True to her word, Jordan arrived in record time. When she discovered me still huddled in my car, mascara streaked down my face. She opened the passenger door, gently moved the gift box and pulled me into a fierce, comforting hug. "Tell me everything," she demanded, and so I did. The words poured out between fresh torrents of tears: the gas list exclusion, my parents' glacial dismissal, the humiliating security escort, the venomous beggar comment. Jordan listened intently, her expression transforming from shock to incandescent outrage. "Those entitled, manipulative, soul-sucking vampires," she finally spat. "Once I have finished recounting the ordeal, Mac, this goes beyond mere dysfunction. This is outright abuse." "They're my family," I offered weakly, the default response I had used to rationalize their egregious behavior for years. "No," Jordan countered, her voice firm and unwavering. "Family doesn't treat each other like a team is. Family doesn't publicly humiliate each other. Family doesn't take and take and take without ever giving anything in return." We made our way up to my apartment, where Jordan helped me out of the constricting designer dress and into comfortable, familiar clothes. She gently removed my ruined makeup while I sat numbly on the edge of my bathtub, a shell of myself. Then she poured us both generous glasses of wine and ordered delivery from my favorite Thai restaurant. "You know the absolute worst part?" I murmured, staring vacantly into my wine glass. "I have meticulous records of everything I've ever given them, every loan, every gift, every bill paid. It's literally my profession to track finances, but I've never possessed the courage to tally it all." "Maybe it's time," Jordan suggested quietly. I nodded, reaching for my laptop. While we awaited our food, I opened my personal finance tracking software. I maintained a special category labeled Family Support, which I had been diligently documenting for years. With a few clicks, I generated a comprehensive report. The total made us both gasp aloud: $327,845.38 over the past decade. "Oh my God, Mac," Jordan whispered aghast, "that's a house, that's multiple college educations. That's a substantial retirement fund." I scrolled through the itemized list, each entry a poignant memory: Eric's countless failed businesses, Heather's lavish wedding and subsequent home renovation, my parents' recurring mortgage payments during rough patches that somehow never truly ended, medical bills, car payments, luxury vacations I was never invited to join. "And that doesn't even include tonight's deposit," I added hollowly. Something profound shifted inside me as I gazed at the stark figure. A quiet, simmering rage began to displace the raw hurt and profound confusion. I opened my credit card application to review recent transactions and made a discovery that sent a fresh wave of ice-cold fury through my veins. "They're still using my card," I stated in utter disbelief. "Look at these charges from today. Additional catering for $1,500, premium bar package, $3,200, anniversary cake from Celebrity Bakery, $800. They didn't even tell me," I seethed. "They just kept charging." On a sudden hunch, I opened Instagram. Sure enough, Heather had already posted a series of photos from the event. One showed my parents cutting the elaborate cake I had unknowingly financed. The caption read, "Celebrating 40 years of the perfect love story with our tight-knit family. So blessed to have parents who taught us what unconditional love truly means." I scrolled through more photos. Another depicted Eric proudly presenting my parents with what appeared to be plane tickets. His caption, "Alaska cruise for the anniversary couple. Can't wait to hear about your adventures." The very cruise I had booked and paid for 3 months prior, now masquerading as his generous gift. A third photo captured Heather's husband raising a toast to Richard and Elizabeth, and the wonderful family vacation they're hosting for all of us in Disneyland next month. The Disneyland trip I had meticulously arranged and fully funded as a surprise for my niece and nephew now being brazenly claimed by others. They're taking credit for my gifts, I said, my voice eerily calm. Now, they're using my money to buy themselves adoration and praise. Jordan looked from the phone to me, her expression resolute. What are you going to do? I closed the laptop, placed my wine glass down with a decisive click. The hurt lingered, a dull, persistent ache, but now it was solidifying into something harder, an unwavering resolve. I'm done being their ATM. I slept surprisingly deeply that night, as if my body, exhausted by years of emotional strain, finally allowed itself to shut down and process the profound trauma. When I woke the following morning, the events of the previous night flooded back, but the overwhelming waves of grief and shock had been replaced by something new. Unyielding determination. I showered, prepared a strong coffee, and settled at my kitchen island with my laptop. It was Sunday, so my office was closed, nevertheless. I immediately texted my assistant, Chloe, who had been with me for 5 years and was privy to more details about my family situation than anyone except Jordan. Need your help with something personal. Can you come by my apartment around 10 o'clock? She replied instantly. Of course, everything okay, it will be. I wrote back, a new sense of power in my fingertips. While awaiting Chloe's arrival, I created a fresh spreadsheet. This one was not merely a record of past transactions, but a comprehensive catalog of all current and impending financial commitments I have made to my family. $18,000 anniversary party deposit at Llama Zone already paid. $22. 0 for Alaska cruise anniversary gift paid. Scheduled for June. $39,000 for Heather's family trip to Disney paid. Scheduled for May. $15,000 business loan to Eric funds transferred, but not yet utilized. $8,000 country club membership renewal for parents. Due next week. Total current obligations, $62,000. I stared at the sum. That amount alone surpassed many people's annual income, and it represented only the current commitments, not the hundreds of thousands already expended over the years. When Chloe arrived, her eyes widened perceptibly at my appearance. Despite the shower and coffee, my exhaustion was evident. What happened? She asked. Setting down her laptop bag, I recounted everything, maintaining a steady, factual tone. Chloe had certainly witnessed countless phone calls from my family over the years, always about money, always cloaked in urgency. She had seen me disrupt my schedule repeatedly to wire funds or intervene on their behalf, but even she was visibly stunned by the anniversary party saga. That's beyond cruel, she declared when I finished. What do you need from me? I need to ascertain my legal standing on these financial commitments, I explained, presenting her with the spreadsheet. What can I legitimately cancel? What am I legally obligated to honor? Chloe, ever the epitome of efficiency, immediately set to work. She called a lawyer friend specializing in family law and placed him on speakerphone. Without disclosing names, she carefully outlined the intricate situation. The deposit for the event that already occurred is likely non-recoverable. The lawyer advised, however, reservations for future events made with your credit card are a different matter. You possess every right to cancel those, especially if there was no formal written agreement designating these as gifts. And regarding the business loan, if the money hasn't been dispersed and no formal loan agreement exists, you can absolutely recall those funds. It would be entirely different if it had been clearly documented as a gift. None of it was documented, I confirmed. That was by their specific design. They always insisted on keeping things verbal. After the call concluded, Chloe looked at me expectantly. What's the strategy, boss? I'm going to cancel everything, I stated firmly. Every reservation, every payment, every future commitment. And I'm going to meticulously document precisely how much I've already given them over the years. So, when they inevitably come demanding more, I will have irrefutable proof to present. They'll be absolutely furious, Chloe warned, her expression serious. I know, I replied quietly. But I cannot continue this. Last night clarified beyond any doubt that no amount of money will ever secure their love or their respect. I've been desperately trying to purchase a place in their family that they have no intention of ever granting me. Together, Chloe and I expanded the spreadsheet to incorporate all historical transactions. We categorized them exhaustively, by family member, by year, and by precise type of expense. We even calculated the hypothetical interest that would have accrued had these been formalized loans. We estimated the substantial opportunity cost of these funds had they been strategically invested in my standard portfolio. The final document was utterly staggering. Over $320,000 in direct payments, nearly $80. 0 in estimated lost investment returns. A grand total exceeding $400,000. I could have purchased a vacation home, I whispered, staring at the monumental figure. I could have funded an entire charitable foundation. You still can, Chloe reminded me gently, once you stem the bleeding. We set up instant email notifications for when each cancellation would be processed. I knew with absolute certainty that the fallout would be swift and overwhelmingly severe. My family would not accept this financial cutoff lightly, are you? Truly prepared for their reaction? Chloe asked as we completed our elaborate preparations. I paused. For a fleeting moment, the familiar specters of guilt and ingrained obligation surfaced. Images flickered through my mind. My mother's manipulative tears, my father's thunderous anger, my siblings' accusations. The family bonds, however profoundly dysfunctional, that had defined my entire existence. Then I remembered standing in that opulent restaurant lobby, the security guard's firm grip on my elbow. My father's chilling pronouncement, "Get this beggar out of here." Yes, I declared. My resolve now fully forged. I'm ready. Monday morning arrived imbued with a sense of purpose I hadn't experienced in years. I had made my resolute decision, and now it was time to execute my plan with the same meticulous precision. I applied to my professional life. My first call was to Lamazone. I requested to speak with the event manager who had overseen my parents' anniversary, Miss Morgan. "How may I assist you?" she asked, her voice tinged with palpable caution. She clearly recalled the previous night's unsettling scene. "I'd like to discuss the charges to my credit card from last night's event," I stated, my tone perfectly calm. Yes, the final bill amounted to $23,475, encompassing the additional services requested on site. "The charge will be processed today. I did not authorize those additional charges," I clarified. "I approved only the initial $18,000 deposit. Furthermore, I was unjustly refused entry to the event despite fully funding it." There was an uncomfortable, drawn-out pause. "I see, this is highly unusual. What would you like us to do?" "I will not dispute the initial deposit," I conceded. "But I demand the additional charges be cancelled immediately. And I'd like the record to reflect that the remainder of the bill should be directed to Richard and Elizabeth Morgan personally." "I understand," she replied carefully. "And the deposit?" I had briefly considered demanding its return, but a more profound idea crystallized. "Please redirect the $18,000 deposit as an anonymous donation to Seattle Children's Hospital. Can you facilitate that?" She sounded genuinely surprised, then pleased. "Yes, we can absolutely arrange that, Miss Morgan. I'll email you confirmation once it's processed." Next, I contacted the cruise line. The Alaska voyage, a 7-day luxury trip, was scheduled for June. My parents' grand anniversary gift. "I need to cancel a reservation," I informed the customer service representative. "Booking number is C7895 for 2, the Alaska Glaciers Deluxe Package for 2. This is a premium reservation with a strict cancellation policy, ma'am. There will be a fee." "That's perfectly acceptable," I replied. "Please process the cancellation and refund the remaining amount to my original payment method." "And should we notify the travelers of the cancellation?" I paused, considering. "No, that won't be necessary. I'll handle that personally." The Disney trip cancellation was next. This one was emotionally more difficult, as I visualized my niece and nephew's inevitable disappointment. They were innocent pawns in this elaborate adult drama. Still, I made a mental note to perhaps send them gift cards directly for their upcoming birthdays. "I need to cancel the Morgan family package at Disney World, May 15th to 20th. One articulated to the Disney representative. "Of course, the cancellation fee is 20% of the package price. That's acceptable," I affirmed. "For Eric's business loan." I contacted my bank and explained my need to freeze the funds in the business account I had established, since the account remained in my name with Eric merely an authorized user. I retained the unquestionable right to restrict access. "The funds haven't been touched yet." The bank manager confirmed. "We can freeze the account immediately." "Please do," I said, "and send me confirmation once it's finalized." The country club membership renewal was the simplest, requiring only a brief call to the membership office. I will not be renewing the Morgan family membership this year. Mr. and Mrs. Morgan have been members for 8 years, the membership director observed. "They'll undoubtedly be disappointed." "I'm sure they will," I replied, feeling an astonishing absence of emotion. By noon, all cancellations had been systematically processed. The only remaining task was to brace myself for the inevitable onslaught. I drafted a concise, impersonal automated reply for my family's numbers. "Financial services permanently discontinued. All inquiries will be directed to this automated response." I scheduled it to activate at 5 p.m., allowing the various organizations sufficient time to process the cancellations and potentially alert my family. Then, with a deep breath, I temporarily blocked their numbers, not permanently, as I eventually wanted to observe their reactions. But I required a crucial buffer to fortify myself. That evening, Jordan arrived with takeout and a bottle of Wine, a steadfast source of moral support. It's done, I told her as we sat on my balcony, gazing at the glittering Seattle skyline. How do you feel? She asked, her gaze searching mine. I considered the question carefully, lighter, as if I finally shed a monumental burden I've been carrying for so long. I'd forgotten what it felt like not to have it weighing me down. Any regrets? Not about the money, I admitted with absolute honesty. But I'm deeply saddened by what this truly reveals, that after all these years, all these sacrifices, they never genuinely perceived me as family, only as a disposable resource. Jordan raised her glass to your Independence Day. I clinked my glass against hers to boundaries. We were halfway through dinner when my phone began to vibrate. With relentless urgency, I had intentionally set it to silent, but left it face up on the table. The screen continuously illuminated with notification after notification. Missed call from Mom. Missed call from Dad. Missed call from Heather. Text from Eric. What the hell is going on with the business account? Missed call from Mom. Voicemail from Dad. Text from Heather. The Disney reservation is showing us cancelled. Fix this now. Missed call from Mom. Missed call from Mom. Email from Dad. Call immediately. Emergency. The notifications cascaded, increasing in both frequency and frantic intensity. Within 20 minutes, I had accumulated 36 missed calls. Wow, Jordan murmured, watching the phone nearly vibrate itself off the table. That didn't take long. I felt a strange, profound calm as I observed the digital meltdown. They must have all stumbled upon the cancellation simultaneously. Are you going to respond? Jordan inquired. I shook my head slowly. Not tonight. They need to sit with this feeling for a while. The feeling of having something they absolutely counted on suddenly pulled away. Without explanation, Jordan gave me a look of unadulterated admiration. You're handling this like a true boss. I am a boss, I replied, a genuine smile, the first in days, gracing my lips. It's about time I remembered that. We finished dinner, and Jordan departed around 9 p.m. I indulged in a long, luxurious bath, consciously ignoring the persistent notifications from my phone. I slept deeply for the second consecutive night, unburdened by the crushing weight of impossible expectations. The aggressive pounding on my door commenced promptly at 7:08 and the jarring knocking jolted me awake. For a disoriented moment, I wasn't sure where I was, but the angry, familiar voices echoing in the hallway instantly reoriented me to yesterday's momentous events. Mackenzie, open this door right now, my father's voice as commanding and entitled as ever. We know you're in there, my mother, her tone shrill with indignant fury. I slipped on a robe and approached the door cautiously. Through the peephole, I could discern my parents, Heather and Eric, all tightly clustered in the hallway. Their faces were contorted with raw anger. My father's complexion was approaching a dangerously inflamed red. I inhaled deeply and opened the door. What is the meaning of this? My father thundered, pushing past me into the apartment without a shred of invitation. The others followed, forming a menacing semicircle of unadulterated fury in my living room. Good morning to you, too, I said calmly, closing the door behind them. I see you all receive my messages. Messages? Heather shrieked, her voice incredulous. You cancelled our Disney vacation without a single word. Jackson and Emma have been anticipating this for months. The cruise line called us, my mother added, her voice trembling with what I now instinctively recognized as theatrical emotion. They said our anniversary cruise was cancelled. We'll be utterly humiliated in front of our friends. We already announced it at the party. Eric stepped forward, his face twisted with self-righteous indignation. You froze the business account. I have suppliers waiting for payment. You've completely destroyed my reputation. My father's booming voice cut through the cacophony. Fixes now. Whatever childish game you're playing stops immediately. They all stared at me expectantly, utterly confident in their collective power to force me back into line. In the past, their tactics would have been devastatingly effective. The crushing guilt, the ingrained obligation, the desperate, lifelong need for their approval would have compelled me to reach for my phone and undo everything. But something fundamental had profoundly shifted within me. No. I stated simply. The single word landed like a small, impactful bomb in the tense room. There was a moment of stunned, absolute silence before they all erupted again. Voices rising sharply in pitch and volume. You're clearly experiencing some kind of breakdown, my mother declared, her tone laced with condescension. This is precisely why you're always alone, Heather snapped, her eyes narrowing. You're unstable. I'll sue you, Eric threatened, his voice laced with venom. That money was explicitly promised to me. My father stepped closer, using his imposing height to try to intimidate me, just as he had since my childhood. You will rectify this mess right now or you are no longer a part of this family. I laughed then, a genuine, unforced laugh that momentarily halted their furious tirade. Not part of the family. When exactly was I ever truly a part of this family? When you needed your mortgage paid? When Eric required another failed business to be funded? When Heather demanded a fairy tale wedding? That isn't family. That is blatant exploitation. I walked to my desk and picked up the meticulously printed spreadsheet Chloe and I had prepared. In the past 10 years, I have provided this family with $327,845.38. That figure doesn't even encompass the additional $60 zero incurring commitments I just canceled. I handed the comprehensive document to my father, whose hand automatically accepted it. Everything is itemized here. Every payment, every gift, every loan that was never repaid, plus the calculated interest and substantial opportunity cost. They stared at the paper, momentarily silenced, dumbfounded by the staggering figure. "We're your family," my mother finally uttered, as if that solitary statement sufficiently explained and irrevocably excused everything. "Family doesn't have security remove me from an event I paid for," I retorted evenly. "Family doesn't call me a beggar." My father's head snapped up, a flicker of panic in his eyes. "You're being oversensitive. It was a simple misunderstanding." I walked to my phone and played the raw recording I'd made in my car. Immediately after leaving the restaurant, my voice, tearfully recounting precisely what had transpired. Every word, every detail, still searingly fresh in my memory. Then, his voice, "Get this beggar out of here." Heather, at least, had the grace to appear visibly uncomfortable. Eric meticulously studied his shoes. My mother's expression, however, hardened into a mask of defiance. "You're deliberately taking things out of context," she insisted. "Your father was merely upset." "You're absolutely right. I have been taking things out of context for years," I agreed, my voice surprisingly calm. "I've been interpreting financial exploitation as love. I've been mistaking my usefulness for belonging." "That stops now." "So what, you're just cutting us off?" Eric demanded, his voice laced with disbelief. "After everything we've done for you?" I turned to him, genuinely curious. "What precisely have you done for me, Eric?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again, utterly incapable of citing a single example. "This is how it's going to be," I announced, addressing all of them directly. "I will no longer provide financial support of any kind to any of you. No loans, no gifts, no payments. You are all capable adults with jobs, homes, and resources. Figure it out. You'll change your mind," my father stated dismissively, a sneer on his face. "You always do." "Not this time," I replied, my voice unwavering. "This time, I possess something worth infinitely more than your approval, my self-respect." "You're being incredibly selfish," my mother accused. "After all we've sacrificed for you." "What sacrifices, Mom? Please enlighten me. When did any have you ever prioritized me? When did you ever truly show up for me, when I needed emotional support, not just to collect a check?" The silence that followed was damning. "You need help," Heather finally blurted out. "Professional help. On that point, we wholeheartedly agree," I replied. "I commenced therapy last week. My therapist has a specific term for what's been happening. Financial abuse." "That's utterly ridiculous," my father scoffed. "You're the one cutting off your family when we need you." "Need my money I corrected, my gaze fixed on him. "Not me never me." The conversation rapidly devolved from there. Veiled threats were issued. Faint tears were shed. My character, my mental stability, and my very moral fiber were all vehemently called into question. I remained remarkably calm, reiterating my unwavering position clearly each time they attempted to identify a crack in my iron-clad resolve. After nearly an hour of relentless emotional battering, they finally grasped that I was not going to capitulate. "This isn't over," my father declared as they reluctantly moved toward the door. "You'll deeply regret this decision." "Already regret the past 10 years," I replied, my voice imbued with profound honesty. "But I will not regret today." As they filed out, my mother turned back one final, desperate attempt. "What will people think when they hear how you've abandoned your family?" "I don't know, Mom," I said, meeting her gaze steadily. "What did they think when they watched you have security escort me out of a party I paid for?" She had no conceivable answer for that. After they finally departed, I leaned against a closed door, half expecting to feel utterly devastated. Instead, I felt an uncanny sense of peace. The confrontation had been agonizingly ugly, but undeniably necessary. The very threats and manipulations that had worked so effectively for so long now seemed transparent and utterly pathetic. My phone pinged with a text. I braced myself for more family drama, but it was from my cousin Rebecca. "I saw what they did to you at the party. It was cruel and utterly wrong." I wanted to say something, but I was too cowardly. "I'm so sorry. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you for finally standing up for yourself." It was the first genuine expression of support I had ever received from any family member. I texted back a simple, heartfelt thank you. That means a lot. Perhaps I wasn't entirely alone in the extended family after all. It was a small comfort, but undeniably real in reality, however painful. Was immeasurably better than the elaborate illusion I'd been living in for so long. 6 months unfurled like a dream. Fall arrived in Seattle, painting the city in resplendent hues of orange and red. The crisp, clean air felt like a perfect metaphor for the clarity I had discovered in my life. The immediate aftermath of the confrontation had been challenging, as expected. My family had relentlessly attempted various approaches to re-establish their financial foothold in my life. My father dispatched formal emails demanding repayment for all they had supposedly invested in raising me. My mother left tearful voicemails about mysterious medical issues that conveniently resolved when I remained unresponsive. Eric dramatically claimed his business was collapsing entirely because of me. Heather forwarded photos of her crestfallen children, captioned with guilt-inducing messages about their cancelled Disney trip. I maintained my carefully constructed boundaries through it all, focusing instead on my own arduous healing journey. Dr. Melissa Chin, my therapist, proved instrumental in that profound process. Our weekly sessions helped me meticulously unpack decades of insidious emotional manipulation and recognize deeply ingrained patterns I had been entirely blind to. Family systems like yours don't materialize overnight, she explained with calm expertise. Your role as a provider was established early and reinforced consistently. Breaking free requires not just setting boundaries, but maintaining them steadfastly through the inevitable pushback. The pushback had, indeed, been fierce. Flying monkeys were swiftly deployed, distant relatives and family friends calling to relay how utterly devastated my parents were, how desperately I needed to reconcile before it was too late. I politely but firmly ended these conversations, steadfastly refusing to justify my intensely personal decisions to people who had silently witnessed the exploitation for years. Without a single comment, my professional life flourished remarkably. As I consciously redirected the immense energy previously consumed by family drama, I significantly expanded my client base, successfully hired 2 new financial advisors, and was prominently featured in a respected financial magazine. New, authentic friendships blossomed, too. Through a support group specifically for survivors of family financial abuse, I met Alana, Desiree, and Thomas, who understood my unique experience in ways even Jordan, as supportive as she was, could not fully grasp. Our monthly dinners became a sacred, safe space for sharing both our victories and our inevitable setbacks in our parallel journeys of healing. As October arrived, I confronted my first holiday season with my newly solidified boundaries fully intact. Thanksgiving had perpetually been a disingenuous occasion in the Morgan family, elaborate celebrations that I was expected to fund, yet never genuinely welcomed into. This year would be profoundly different. I'm hosting Friendsgiving, I announced to Jordan over coffee one crisp morning. Will you come? Try and stop me. She grinned enthusiastically. Who else are you inviting? The support group crew, some trusted colleagues, Chloe and her husband, and actually, my cousin Rebecca reached out again after her initial text of support. Rebecca and I had cautiously reconnected. She shared that my parents had spent years meticulously controlling the family narrative about me, deliberately painting me as cold, work-obsessed, and utterly uninterested in family bonds. My public disinheritance, as they dramatically characterized it, had unexpectedly created noticeable fissures in the extended family, with some finally questioning the established narrative. For the very first time, Rebecca said she and her husband want to come. I continued. And possibly my Aunt Catherine, your mom's sister? Jordan raised an eyebrow, impressed. Brave woman, apparently. She and Mom aren't speaking anymore. Catherine openly called her out about what happened at the anniversary party. The Friendsgiving dinner was a true revelation. 16 people gathered convivially in my apartment, none demanding anything from me except genuine conversation and heartfelt connection. Rebecca arrived with a homemade pumpkin pie and a decade of fascinating family gossip I'd been systematically excluded from. Aunt Catherine arrived with an envelope. I should have given you this years ago, she said privately, her voice low as guests mingled around us. Your grandmother asked me to pass it along after she died, but your mother convinced me to wait until you were more stable. She made pronounced air quotes around the last words, her disgust with the manipulation vividly evident. Inside was a letter and a bank statement. I read the letter with growing astonishment. My dearest Mackenzie, my grandmother had penned, her elegant script of comfort. You have always been special to me. Your intelligence, your kindness, your resilience. I see how your parents failed to appreciate these intrinsic qualities, too blinded by their own needs to recognize your profound worth. I am leaving you this separate inheritance directly. Your mother doesn't know about it, use it to build the life you truly deserve, not the ones they demand from you. I was waiting for you to stand up for yourself. When you do, Catherine will give you this letter. I have unwavering faith that day will come. All my love, Grandma Eleanor. The accompanying bank statement revealed a trust in my name, worth $175,000. It had been silently accumulating interest for 7 years since her passing. She knew, I whispered to Catherine, my voice thick with emotion. She saw what was happening. Eleanor was nobody's fool. Catherine replied, a gentle smile. She saw everything clearly, including your incredible strength. She knew you'd break free eventually. News about my birth family slowly trickled in through Rebecca and other channels. Without my ongoing financial support, certain harsh realities had inevitably come crashing down. My parents had been compelled to downsize from their expansive family home to a more modest condo. Eric's latest entrepreneurial endeavor had failed spectacularly. Without my emergency infusions of cash, Heather and her husband had been forced to cancel their planned kitchen renovation. There were consequences for me, too. Of course, I was officially disowned. My name allegedly removed from their wills, not that there would be much left to inherit. I was no longer even mentioned at family gatherings, according to Rebecca. My mother had systematically removed all photos of me from their home. Strangely, these developments caused me less pain than I had anticipated. The family I had so desperately tried to buy my way into had, in truth, never genuinely existed. The love I had so relentlessly sought had always been profoundly conditional, based solely on what I could provide rather than who I inherently was. In December, I received an unexpected message from my father. Unlike the previous angry demands, this one was brief and noticeably subdued. Your mother and I are having coffee at Westlake Center tomorrow at 2 if you're available. We'd like to talk. I discussed it extensively with Dr. Chin in our therapy session that afternoon. What do you wish to do? She asked, her gaze empathetic. Part of me is curious, I admitted. Another part is profoundly afraid they'll try to manipulate and pull me back in somehow. Those are both entirely valid feelings, she acknowledged. What boundaries would you need to establish to make this meeting feel safe and productive? I considered this carefully. A public place, limited time. Absolutely. No financial discussions. Those sound like remarkably healthy boundaries. She nodded approvingly. Remember, you are empowered to leave at any moment if those boundaries are not respected. I agreed to the meeting. Armed with clear parameters, 30 minutes, no discussion of money, strictly a public location. My parents looked noticeably older when I saw them. My father's once confident posture was diminished, almost stooped. My mother's customary designer clothes had been replaced by more modest attire. For a fleeting moment, I felt the old, insidious pull of guilt and responsibility, but I consciously breathed through it, just as Dr. Chin had taught me. Thank you for coming, my father said, uncharacteristically subdued. The conversation that ensued was stilted and superficial. We spoke of the weather, current events, carefully skirting anything remotely meaningful. Finally, as our agreed upon time neared its conclusion, my mother reached across the table, her hand hovering. We miss you, Mackenzie. I met her eyes directly, my gaze unwavering. Do you miss me asterisk? Or what I asterisk provided asterisk? She withdrew her hand abruptly. My father cleared his throat, a nervous habit. We've had to make some adjustments, he acknowledged, his voice strained. It's been challenging. I imagine it has, I replied neutrally, without a hint of warmth or sarcasm. Your sister's children ask about you, my mother added, attempting another angle. Especially at Christmas. I thought of Jackson and Emma, truly innocent in this adult drama. They can call me anytime. They're welcome in my home. Without their parents, my mother's tone sharpened. My boundaries haven't changed, I replied calmly. I'm open to rebuilding relationships, but not financial relationships. They exchanged glances, that familiar, silent communication that had always so effectively excluded me. My father sighed heavily. We should go, he said to my mother. Then, turning to me, think about what family asterisk really asterisk means, Mackenzie. I smiled slightly, a genuine, quiet smile. I have, every single day for the past 6 months. As they walked away, I realized something truly profound. Their power over me was irrevocably gone. Not just financially, but emotionally. Their approval, so desperately sought for decades, no longer held any sway over my self-worth. That evening, I hosted a joyous holiday party in my apartment. Friends, colleagues, and my steadily growing circle of chosen family gathered to celebrate. Chloe brought her new baby, tiny and precious. Jordan gleefully announced her engagement. Thomas, from the support group, shared that he finally sold his novel. A triumph after years of struggle. As I looked around at these wonderful people who valued me for who I inherently was, not what I could provide, I felt my grandmother's warm, knowing presence. She had seen this day coming. She had believed in my strength when I couldn't see it. Myself, the inheritance she'd left me, remained largely untouched. I had, however, established a small foundation with a portion of it, providing educational grants to young people estranged from their family support systems, a poignant tribute to my own journey. The rest patiently awaited a purpose truly worthy of her unwavering faith in me. My phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. Proud of you for today. Boundaries intact. Eleanor would be beaming. I smiled a full, contented smile, and rejoined my guests. The apartment was warm with vibrant conversation and genuine laughter, beautifully decorated with twinkling lights that reflected in the expansive windows, overlooking the magnificent Seattle skyline. This, I realized, was what *real* family felt like: chosen, reciprocal, unconditional. The journey hadn't been easy. There would undoubtedly be more challenges ahead, more boundary tests, more moments of fleeting doubt. But I have found something far more valuable than approval, more enduring than the false security of dysfunctional bonds. I have found myself. Have you ever had to establish challenging boundaries with family or friends who viewed you as an endless ATM rather than a cherished individual? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if this narrative of breaking free from financial abuse resonated deeply with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might desperately need to hear it. Remember, your inherent worth isn't measured by what you provide others. It's an intrinsic part of who you are. Thank you for being part of this journey.